Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. This is the Monday Night Raw review. Raw going off the air just 3 or 4 hours ago. What a Raw it was, main evented by main event Jey Uso versus Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. But before we get there, so much else to go through this week. We'll get a bit of contract news up. We mentioned this on the SmackDown review that we done earlier on. At the back end of last week, start of this week. And it seemingly Kevin Owens' contract is coming up for renewal. And I was very much along the lines of I wasn't sure where Kevin Owens would be come the end of his contract, whether he's going to explore free agency or not. And it's not been much clearer since we've last been on. There's been not a lot of information feeding through regarding it. We know he's got about 6 months left, according to reports on that contract. So it's very difficult to picture where Kevin Owens is going to be. And I kind of said it's whether or not he thinks that it's time for him to move on to pastures new, whether he's done his time in WWE or whether he's just happy being in the WWE and doing what he's doing. It's an interesting scenario with him, and I still don't know where. I still haven't got a clue really. I haven't got my gut isn't telling me anything. It's quite as feasible that he stays with WWE, and it's quite feasible that he goes to All Elite Wrestling. And maybe, I suppose, if you look at it from a championship perspective, is Kevin Owens going to win the world title again anytime in the next 3 years or so? I can't see it personally, and that's nothing against him. I just think there's other things going on in that scene that, although Kevin will always be around that scene, I don't think the title will be ever coming to Kevin Owens in the world title anyway. Would ever go to Kevin Owens in the next 3 years. Very doubtful, in my opinion. So if he wants world championships, but then you look at AEW's stacked roster and you think that is there room for Kevin Owens and the world title in AEW with their roster? And you can reel off names of people that perhaps have, are in line for championship opportunities there. So it's a very difficult situation from where Kevin Owens is going to be. Other ones were the Motor City Machine Guns. They are due NXT next week, I believe, and the big one from Chicago. We'll be seeing the Guns, the Machine Guns debut on NXT. I mentioned this before. Two guys, great tag, great single, can do a lot of things. NXT, interesting start for their, WWE careers. Alex Shelley been down there before, Chris Sabin, not so much. And it's going to be interesting. You've still got the TNA partnership, so they could still, go there. Obviously, Bound for Glory coming up. So the Guns could start in NXT. You could find them down at Bound for Glory, perhaps for a TNA. Who knows? But a good acquisition for WWE. And if they really want to revitalize the tag division, those are two names that would absolutely work. And the other team that apparently are heading towards WWE, although still contracted to AEW at this point, according to reports, Penta El Zero, Ray Phoenix, the Lucha Brothers. Now, interestingly, there was a vignette that aired on Raw, which has got the internet and we have the IWC talking. At the internet, there was a big circle in flames, and it had RPF. Now, it could now you could, as many of the internet fans have said, Ray Phoenix Penta, potentially, that there is there. Or it could be the War Raiders or the Viking Raiders returning for WWE. And both of those situations, to be quite fair, are feasible, depending on whether Ray and Penta have been granted their release from AEW or not. I don't know. I say both are feasible, but I would lean towards more the Viking Raiders just because if Penta and Ray Phoenix are still under AEW contract, you're not going to be able to, that WWE wouldn't push anything out for them. I don't believe anyway. I think it'd be quite a silly move if they were to do that. So yeah, not for me. I think Viking Raiders, the return of the Viking Raiders in Valhalla, will be coming up very soon. Although I think Sarah pregnant again. I can't remember. Anyway, that's where I think it's going. The Viking Raiders. But obviously, never rule out until it happens. You can't rule out Penta, Salamiela, and Ray Phoenix debuting, as that's really what the buzz has been as well coming on. And lastly, as discussed on the SmackDown view, Miro, formerly Rusev, has requested his release from AEW. Contracted until spring 2026 is the belief. I can see him coming back to WWE. I think that's, I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion, but I think that's really where he wants to be. I'm not quite, there's loads of things out there that, injuries and refusing to do stuff. I mean, you can't do that. I mean, look, if you don't want to be somewhere and you don't want to be in a storyline, you put your argument to it. But you don't refuse. Look, we don't know if that's the case. Again, this is internet gossip, and we have to talk about it because it's what is out there in the public domain. But obviously, guys like Russo, more on him later. Guys like Rusev or Miro, very much, you know, should be doing what their boss tells them to do. That's really it. But yeah, they had a lot there when he went to the Redeemer gimmick from the Best Man. When he got that Redeemer gimmick, I thought that was it. That is him off to the races in AEW, and I thought we were going to be getting some really good stuff out of him, but unfortunately not. And now requesting his release from AEW, I would assume, and I'd put good money on WWE, him going back to WWE. I'm confident on that one. The other lot, Kevin Owens on the other hand, not so much. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get into Raw. And as Raw starts with Dominic and Liv Morgan walking into the arena, Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed are already going at it. It's fantastic. It really is. I love that. We're going to touch more on that as we go along because there's been a match made for next week's Raw, an incredible video package, but more on that in a minute. We start Raw with a Liv Morgan, Rhea Ripley segment heading into Bad Blood next weekend. And ultimately, this was a lot about Dominic and how he's been involved and how Dominic really was the reason that Liv won the title and basically going into that side of things. And then Rhea has come out with the news that Dominic obviously will be there at Bad Blood against Liv Morgan. However, she has spoken to Adam Pearce, and because of the constant interference, because Dominic will definitely get involved in the match, he's going to be suspended in a cage above the arena, which is very, very interesting indeed. Now, usually when that happens in wrestling, two things generally happen. One, they find their way out of the cage. There's always a little bit where you can like bend the bars a little bit and fit out. And two, you'll throw a weapon into the ring. That's generally what happens in those situations. And I can definitely see that happening at Bad Blood next weekend. I think Dominic will end up getting involved somehow, even though he's in that cage, and maybe costing Rhea or maybe costing Liv. I don't know if I want Liv to lose yet. I think that's my personal thing. We'll do the predictions next week. We'll do the Bad Blood predictions next week. On the Raw review. We'll do the Bad Blood predictions on the Raw review next week. Yeah, Raw review next week. We'll do the Bad Blood predictions, maybe the SmackDown one. I'm not sure, but we'll get the bad predictions done. But my thing is, I feel like Liv should still retain it. I'm not quite ready for that Liv Morgan Revenge Tour thing to end just yet. But anyway, as Rhea announced that, she headbutts Liv. That's the end of the segment. Really strong opening, to have Dominic up there, and this is why I think Liv may also retain. It's kind of stacking it more against Liv than it is against Rhea, and that's kind of why I believe that Liv will still retain the title as well. Just because you don't normally stack the odds against the champ. Well, against a heel champion, you do against the face champion, but not against the heel. So that's why. First match on Raw, Sami Zayn, Ludwig Kaiser. Kaiser was with Gunther. Sami Zayn's quest to get a title shot at Gunther, maybe at Bad Blood. He has to go through Kaiser to a degree. Anyway, really good match. Kaiser was playing mind games with Sami straight away. Love this match. Kaiser is ever the impressive guy. And I to be honest, like, he is a breakout waiting to happen. Does he need to break away from Gunther to kind of carve that story himself? Maybe. There is also a point that you could break away from Gunther and be another Giovanni Vinci who just can't win a match, you know. So I do think he needs to break away. Although, however, there's not to say that he couldn't win other gold and have titles. You know, they both have championships. That's also not beyond the realms of impossibility. But this match itself was great. I say like a typical Sami Zayn match. You know, he's like the underdog. He generally spends a lot of the match getting beaten up, comes out was strong, and then ultimately in this match he hits the haluva kick to pick up the win. And then Gunther gets on the ring and he's like, you know, I feel as if its time is right now. You know, right here. Do you want to get to have this fight, to have this title shot? But it's a no, and he still wouldn't give Sami Zayn an opportunity at the gold. The longer it goes, and obviously now next Monday's Raw is literally the week of Bad Blood, so you know Gunther ain't gonna lose the title at Bad Blood now, and especially with little to no build. However, I would say that what WWE do when they keep, you know, they obviously Sami Zayn's never won the world title, and you know they build that story into it, and they've done it with Jey Uso. We'll get onto that in a minute, but they never say Sami's never won the world title, and the longer they keep telling you that, the more feasible it is that Sami could win the gold. So it's an interesting scenario to be in right now, watching this unfold. I personally don't think Sami is going to win the gold at Bad Blood. But you know, who knows? Stranger things have happened. I just don't see Gunther losing the title so quickly after winning it either. But so Gunther's still not giving Sami Zayn the time of day when it comes to these championship opportunities yet. I have a feeling next week is when it will change, and then we'll get to the match at Bad Blood. New Day backstage. Kofi was, you know, trying to say, look, you know, when we go together, it used to sort of be I would make the decisions and stuff like that. He's now putting the control into Woods, and he does go back to the archives and bring out the bootios and bring out the trombone. And as much as Xavier likes it, he was like, that was in the past. We need to talk about the future. You know, we need to get focused, and that brought in Gable and the American Maid. Now, as they were kind of, you know, giving it a bit to the New Day. New Day was like, "Oh, there's Uncle Howdy," and they all turn around and shit themselves, and you know, so they had him on sticks there. One of the Diamond Mines got this very high pitched, annoying laugh. I don't know which one it was, or the Creed brothers, whatever you want to call them. Anyway, I don't know what one it was, but they agreed to a match, the Creed brothers against the New Day. And as they were talking again, so they had gone off at that point, the American Made. As they were talking again, they had like a little guy bringing a prop of the pancakes with the syrup, and he was behind Woods, and Kofi was like, "No." It was quite a funny way to end the segment. But New Day, American Made later on tonight, and it's yeah, an interesting one to see where that goes. Will the New Day still be together? Won't they? What's the plans? We'll get into it a bit later on. Another match coming up: Carlito, Dragon Lee. You know, it was all right. I just I don't know with this. I feel as if the LWO just yeah, it's just not working. Dragon Lee, I mean, I think Triple H has fumbled him massively. I really do. That you know, and with Penta and Ray Phoenix, when we were talking about them earlier, and I say like, I'm worried about them because you had someone there in Dragon Lee. You had him in, you showcased him. He was in NXT doing great things. You showcased him on SmackDown for a few weeks. He looked good, and you've done absolutely nothing with him. And he's now just a prop in a feud, which, you know, I'm not a fan of. Um, I don't quite know where they go. I think, you know, and this isn't a hit at Dragon Lee. I just think it's too late for him already. And the WWE to muster. I think what WWE are looking for is the next Rey Mysterio. That's what they want. They want that new Hispanic hero. I mean, they've got the Hispanic villain in Dominic. That's set. Dom is way, way ahead of his time already, and he definitely is the Hispanic villain. But they haven't got the hero. Because Ray, let's face it, Ray doesn't have too long left. And that's, again, not a hit at Ray. He's in great shape. but he's aged. That's the bottom line. Everyone ages, and he's not ready. He's not going to be around too much longer. Dragon Lee has been fumbled too many times, and perhaps maybe Penta and Ray are going to come. Penta and Ray Phoenix, that is, are going to come in to perhaps take that mantra away from Rey Mysterio, and they can be the Hispanic heroes. I don't know. Anyway, in this match, Dragon Lee does indeed pick up the pinfall with Operation Dragon. Again, I just wasn't, they did, they had the usual Judgment Day run in. JD McDonough, Dominic, LWO come out, Rey Mysterio hit the West Coast pop, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, it was just a general, match. Yeah, I'm sorry to say that, but it is. Karrion Kross walks up to Miz backstage and continues to play mind games with him. And I've got a feeling that Miz is going to turn again very soon. Karrion Kross, you look at all the people that he's feuded with, whether he's won or lost, have all changed. AJ Styles turned heel. McIntyre's gone weird. There's a couple of others I can't remember off the top of my head. Xavier Woods, New Day, got in his head. Look what happens. And now he's in the Miz's head, and it's all a bit strange what's going on there. And he was sort of saying that Miz is going to, because Miz has got Bronson Reed next, and he's going to do what it takes to win. And the real Miz monsters come out from all shapes and sizes, which was quite a weird line. And the Miz agreed with it and walked away, ready for his match. And just before that match happens, Kathy Kelly, the lovely Kathy Kelly, was backstage with Sheamus, and he's continued to call Pete Dunne Butch, and he says he has unfinished business with him. Now, Braun Strowman, Miz, does it happen? Absolutely not. Braun Strowman, Bronson Reed, Miz doesn't happen. Braun Strowman comes out, and they're already kicking seven bells of shit out of each other. Strowman starts even arguing with the Miz because, because of what was going on. Reed then hits a suicide dive. They are just kicking seven lumps out of each other. Security comes in, they get dropped. Reed hits one with a tsunami. Strowman drops a couple with a double choke slam. They've got a big standoff in the ring at this stage, and then they start clubbing the crap out of each other again. It's the series of power slams, another security come in, and oh my goodness me, and in the end, Bronson Reed does start backpedaling a little bit as Strowman climbs up the turnbuckles, but my goodness me, these two, I'm loving this. This is the type of stuff I live for on the channel. I really do like this, the way they're going with this. I'm all in on Strowman versus Bronson Reed. Now, going back to that as well, next week on Raw, you need to check the video package out. It is like Godzilla versus King Kong. That's exactly where they're going with it. But next week on Raw, Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman, last monster standing. Yeah, take the money, hold on to your hats, get your wallets out, pay that money. Watch Raw next week. Last monster standing. They're going to go absolutely bananas on each other. And God forbid how this match is going to end next week, because I have zero clue. And I'm just all here for it next week on Raw for sure. So check that out one next week. Last monster standing. Strowman, Reed next week. Great, great, great. Drew was out next, and he was basically just, Punk wasn't here. Drew was. Drew was basically saying, all my family wanted me to have this match, all your family didn't want you to have this match. And it's just, it is another great promo from Drew. And he's going to break CM Punk permanently inside Hell in a Cell, is basically where you're going. And he said that Punk sort of compares yourself to a supernatural being. You've always been a godlike figure, but you're a man, and a man that I've broken so easily in the past, and he will break permanently in Hell in a Cell. Yeah, a good promo from Drew. I just kind of want to get to that match now. I'm very much in that mold of wanting to see that match and how it's going to be. It's not going to main event Bad Blood now. For all intents and purposes, that main event has gone somewhere else, and that main event is going to be Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu versus Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. That's the main event for Bad Blood. Not quite sure whether I agree with that or not, but nevertheless, I think McIntyre and Punk has had the storyline and has continued while they've been having their breaks. So for me, that should have main evented, but it's going to be Cody and Roman, Solo and Fatu. Now at the back, Pete Dunne attacked Sheamus with the cricket bat, and he's tired of Sheamus calling him Butch. I hope they have a Donnybrook. I said this last week. I believe it's a good old-fashioned Donnybrook is where we need to go with these two, and I hope that's where they end up. And again, Pete Dunne is someone that, again, he's just not hit that. He's not been able to hit the heights of where he should be on WWE for whatever reason. And I always feel that with him, there's so much more there. Sheamus, brilliant. Yeah, will always give you everything. Pete Dunne's been great, but the WWE just hasn't taken him to that, level where he could be on WWE. So, but I am looking forward to that match when it happens, assuming it will be Donnybrook or some form of street fight that they will have. It will be very, very good, and I'll be looking forward to watching that match. I'm assuming Sheamus will pick up the victory when that match does happen. Women's match, Damage Control, Unholy Union, Io Sky, Isla Dawn, I can never remember, Kairi Sane, and her as Kaylee Ray, Alba Fire. There we go. Good tag match this. Io Sky did win with the over the moonsault, probably one of the best moonsaults in wrestling. Maybe Tiffany Stratton might have an argument with that. But yeah, really good match between the two teams there. Difficult where they're in at the moment. Again, there's not a lot going on right now with the women, apart from Rhea and Liv. They've been embroiled for ages. SmackDown, you've got a little bit. You've still got the Money in the Bank. You've got Nia, Bailey, but again, it's just not a lot happening in the women's division. And it'll be interesting to talk to one of my guests soon, and we'll give you the guests that are coming on very, very shortly about it. I've just not been keen on it on the women's division at the moment. They've not really. I don't think they've pushed it as high as what they could be, and it just seems to be stagnating again at the minute, give or take one or two bits. And we'd like to see more of the women on the show. They're good. They're great in the ring now, and it's time for more women wrestling in WWE. But nevertheless, Damage Control pick up the victory on that. And we get to the Creed brothers now. There was a bit where Sami Zayn was hyping up Jey Uso for his match with Braun Breaker. There was a couple of little backstage bits. I don't really too much. Braun Breaker was going to be champion for a long time. Run of the mill stuff. New Day against the Creed brothers. Again, really good tag match. These four are really, really good in the ring. Must admit, earlier on, one of the things I forgot was, oh no, that was after. Lucky I didn't do it. Really good match actually between the two. Really like this. There was a lot of action going on. New Day are great. The Creeds are great. I really enjoy watching the Creeds, and I just want to see more of it. Gable obviously gets involved, which is a little bit bad, and that ultimately leads to the fact that the Creed brothers pick up the victory with the Brutus Ball, which wasn't a big surprise. I didn't expect the New Day to win this match in the grander scheme of things and seeing where the things are going or potentially where they're going. I don't expect I didn't expect the New Day to win the match at all. Creed brothers need a win. They need to look at going for gold for sure. They're as a tag team, they're fantastic, and I'm really hoping that's where they go, and that's what they're aiming for, the tag team championships from Judgment Day or whoever the tag team championships are. And I've got a little theory actually with Reed and Strowman. I'm going to share with you after when we finished Raw, or actually when we finish this bit actually. But yeah, Kofi and Xavier are still on this course is the New Day going to split? They've got their 10 years coming up in November. That's where I think something's going to happen. I really, really do. Either a Rockers style split like Shawn and Marty could have potentially happen, Or I think they're pretty much on the verge of splitting up and Big E returns to at least be with them. I'm not saying compete in the ring, but Big E returns to probably bring the New Day back together, perhaps. As I said last week, I don't think a split does anyone any favors. I think they'll get lost in the shuffles. I don't splitting them up, then going on different brands won't work. In my opinion, it's not going to work. Them being split up just isn't going to work. So I'm hoping that Big E comes back and kind of brings them together. Or they could go the Sean and Jannetty route with Xavier Woods turning on Kofi Kingston. But nevertheless, Creed Brothers pick up the win in this match and head towards tag team gold, which has got me thinking. Whilst I was reeling that off and talking about that match, I was thinking about Braun Strowman and Bronson Reed. And my theory is, could they perhaps have this big blow off, last man standing, annihilate each other, and then become a tag team and go for tag team gold? Think about that one while you're having your cornflakes this morning. There was a promo about Damian Priest, standard Damian Priest promo. Um, he said basically ended it with, where it's with Finn, he's like a bad blood. With all my heart, he's going to destroy him. Interesting. And he should have seen it come in the usual, scenario when you get turned on and all of that. So he should have seen it coming. We had a pure fusion collective big yet. Now go back at Woods here. Um, and they were him and Rey Mysterio were talk him and Kofi Kingston were talking. Rey Mysterio was kind of come up and saying, still apologizing for last week. Woods is like, look, we don't need your apology. Yeah, you're wrong. Go away, kind of thing. And Ray was like, right, I've got to focus. I've got Drew McIntyre. I've got Finn Balor next week on Raw. I've got to focus. And Xavier was like, yeah, that's it. You go away because that's it. You want to focus your time on champions because I've never been a world champion. You've been a world champion, Ray. Finn's been a world champion. And Kofi was trying to calm the situation down. And he's like, oh, yeah, well, you've been a world champion as well. And, all of this sort of stuff. And then instead of basically going away, Ray was like, you know what? Finn Balor can wait. Next week, I'm going to have you in a match with Xavier Woods and Finn Balor was in there. So Xavier Woods, Finn Balor next week on Raw should be very, very good. We've got Kofi Kingston and Chad Gable next week and the last Monster Standing match next week on Raw. Lots of stuff going on next week. But main event time. Main event Jey Uso against Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship all through the night. The commentators, Jey Uso's never won a single title. Jey Uso's never won a single title. We should have seen it coming because Jey Uso has now won a singles championship. He beats Braun Breaker in a fantastic match for the Intercontinental title. There's no doubt about it. That match was off the chain, brilliant. There's so much going on in it. Jey Uso is really showing you why he's in the main event now. Braun Breaker's an absolute star in the making. Is it a little early for him to lose the Intercontinental Championship? I would say yes. I get the storyline. Jey Uso's never won a single, so we need to, make it happen. It's good that it's happening on a Raw because we have to remember that title changes do need to happen on Raws and SmackDowns for people to say that the anything can happen mantra from WWE, especially as Raw moves to Netflix. It was a big spear. There was a spear through the barricade, and then an Uso splash picks up the victory, and everyone's yeeting as we go off there. There's actually one of Rhea Ripley backstage yeeting as well in the crowd. That I don't think it's shown on Raw, but I've seen a video of it. So very, very interesting times. But Jey Uso, congratulations, Mr. Yeet Man, yourself. You are now the Intercontinental Champion. Won his first championship on Monday Night Raw, which was fantastic. Raw was good. Another good, solid show. Monday Night Raw. Continuing to be better than SmackDown at the minute, in my opinion. Right now, at least, anyway. SmackDown this week. We'll get to that later on. We're going to be doing NWA reviews this week, TNA reviews this week, AEW this week, and also we've got a few guests now. So coming on the show very, very soon, we'll be, well, two returning guests, two very controversial guests, and two guests that you could never get on the same podcast anyway. We will be talking to Mr. Eric Bischoff again, and so far, you guys, I'm going to check my social media because I've set a question about what you would like to talk to me to talk to Eric Bischoff about. There was two options. It was AEW versus WCW, and it was a deep dive or a full insight into WCW. And what would you rather? And 78% of you at the moment want us to go into a full insight to WCW. Interesting considering the times, but wow, we're going to be talking all things WCW by the looks of things with Eric Bischoff. And to talk about controversial characters returning to the show, none other than Vince Russo coming back and ask Vince anything special with my good buddy from the Ringside Renaissance podcast, Pretty Deadly Jesse, will be joining us as well as we ask Vince pretty much anything. We're going to caveat that slightly. We don't want anything with Jim Cornette being mentioned. It's that was a feud that went outside of the ring, and there's parameters on this channel that we would talk about, and that falls outside our parameters. So if you're wanting a big thing about Russo and Cornette, go and watch it on other channels. It's not going to happen on this one. But we are going to be asking Vince anything about wrestling. Get your questions in. So I say they're a new face, the new one we're going to welcome to the show. I haven't actually announced yet on socials, so you're going to have to wait a bit longer. But suffice to say, it's one of the former Divas champion is coming on. I'm very excited to be speaking to her. Then that will be a bit later on down the line. We've got a date already booked in. It's a bit further down the line, but we announcing her later on today. So keep it locked on the channels and HTT Buckle on YouTube and X, and Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on Instagram. But until next time, until the NWA, which will be tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow at time of recording, that'll be released. Until then, everybody, buckle down, stay safe. Goodbye.